We begin at our main menu. This demo model has been created to show how we can simplify payroll planning and reporting with NHS bands, deal with assumptions, and extrapolate for strategic planning. As you will see, it's based around a hospital trust, but the functionality is the same wherever you are within the NHS. Now, the look and feel of this model, everything from the colours, the layout, the fonts, the images, is just our choice. Everything is fully customizable. The best way to view this model is from right to left. We build up assumptions on our organisation at both global, that is organisation-wide, and directorate level. We then import or key in our information on employees and income sources. For this demonstration, we then have two reports showing how employee data is automatically phased out using inbuilt rule logic. Finally, the I&E report brings it all together for a full view of the organisation along with a 5-year forecast. Starting with global assumptions, we have here a list of them, in this case mostly relating to employer national insurance and the various figures required to calculate NHS pay scales. Assumptions for the 5-year forecasts are also here, and we'll look at these in more detail when we visit the 5-year I&E. You can also see that the model stores all figures for each spine point and weighting combination. Two things before we move on. You'll see these PDF and Excel icons in every report, allowing easy export of whatever it is you're viewing. You'll also see a number of these drop-downs, such as year and version. These allow you to slice your data, in this case view another year's NHS weightings, for example, and easily create and deal with additional versions. This model has actual budget and a calculated variance, and in production we'll normally add forecast versions as well as what-if scenarios, enabling you to take a copy of, say, your budget, tweak some of these assumptions, perhaps optimistically or pessimistically, and view the results. We've also put in place a single directorate level assumption for our two directorates, oncology and general surgery. This assumption creates some costs as a percentage of income. It's a simple example to illustrate the possibilities. Here we have a simplified representation of an income model. For each directorate, we have trusts that purchase the services in a particular quantity for a particular price in a particular time period. Revenue is then calculated automatically and costs apportioned as per our directorate level assumption. We can also add commentary to any line we wish for others to view. Payroll planning is made very simple, as most of the logic is handled automatically by the system. It's worth noting before we dive in that we can easily add workflow to any of these processes that you'll see, where a budget holder submits their figures for one or more approval or rejection steps. In this particular case, we're entering 2013's budget for the Ward 1 cost centre. Here we've split named and non-named FTE to illustrate how either can work. We'd also import your existing payroll data from your payroll system. For the named FTE, we can store information such as employee number and name, and then for each we choose a band, a spine point, and a weighting where appropriate. The salary is then automatically brought back for you to see. We've also put in a pension contribution as an example, but any calculation of this kind is possible. Finally, we finalise the start date and the end date if we know it. In this case, the top employee here might be on a fixed contract. Again, we can add commentary to any of these lines. The process is exactly the same for non-named FTE, the difference being that you can set a multiple of FTEs and you don't input information such as name. We can also open up new lines to easily add more. The power of the model is that once you've imported or keyed in this information, that's it. The model will calculate and phase everything out for you. And we can view this phased payroll data in a number of ways. Here we make it available by cost centre or by band. Now in the cost centre report, we see our individual cost centres, the directorate totals, and the totals for the organisation. We can view by year, by version, by band, or by payroll measure, such as headcount. Individual figures such as employer national insurance contributions are also calculated and can be made available on these reports if desired. As with many of the reports, we can expand or contract quarters. It's very simple to change reports to show all months by default, if you'd rather. The reports are also ordered, in terms of, in this case, total payable. So for example, if we choose Band 5, we can see at a glance where our Band 5 nurses are coming from. If we look at the by band report, it's the exact same data, simply sliced differently, putting bands as our rows and cost center as a drop-down box. The system makes it very easy to view whatever analysis you require. In this case, we're looking at the breakdown of employees in Ward 1, or we could view it for all of oncology, and again, ordered by the greatest costs for the year. The model then brings automatically all of your payroll, costs, income and assumption figures together to generate our complete I&E, which can be viewed by year, by version and directorate level. And if you wanted, we could go all the way down to individual cost centers. The lines and the accounts in the income and expenditure are fully customizable, and again we can expand and contract where required. The model then takes this I&E, and by choosing a start year, a version, and a directorate level, we use our global assumptions to forecast out over 5 years. Here we have 3 assumptions on revenue, costs, and staff changes, but these can be as granular as required. Well, hopefully that's given you a flavour of how we can remove a large amount of complexity from your planning process by simply importing and or keying in base information about things such as employees and 5-year assumptions. The model automatically generates much of your reporting and allows you to slice and analyse the information as much as you require. Thanks for your time today. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch.